hard to believe all this began with about 4 people in Matt Pitt's basement a few years ago.
What has all these rushing the church doors? Church like you've never seen before.
Now developed into an extremely popular Christian worship experience for
hundreds, even thousands of people. Has grown from 1,400 to about 5,000 in 5 months' time.
It continues to grow.
4,000 to 5,000. It started out with just a handful of folks. Now thousands attend the service.
Matt's basement went from this to this. It's outgrown Matt's house, a series of other churches, and it's packed by the thousands.
We're trying to show them, man, that God's real, He's alive, and we can do things through Him, and we do it in a radical way.
This is not your typical worship experience.
The hottest party in town.
With a powerful message.
Really unbelievable. Something you have to see to believe. It's now considered the largest youth movement in the nation.
Traveled to be here. It's your first night, man. I'm sorry about all the jumping and the cuckoo getting crazy, but here we just believe we're not perfect. We are just. How many of y'all know this week New Year's is coming up? Anybody getting ready for it? Come on, let me see them hands. How many of y'all working on them New Year's resolutions? Let me see them hands. Yeah, that was about a couple of y'all. Man, I don't know about you, but I just hate that junk. Like, I just got back, and some family members were picking on me, man. They, like, hitting on my waist and junk, like, ooh, cookie man, you know? And like how many of you know now we got to get ready to, like, get in shape, and you got to get ready to do some new stuff? Do I have any joggers in the house? Let me hear you say, yeah. We got anybody that works out? Let me hear you say, yeah. But how many of you could just agree with me? How many of you like to just, how many of you just want to eat all the food in the world? Y'all ever met somebody that eats Cheetos? They got Cheeto fingers. They dig in a Cheeto box and then they get their hands out, and you're supposed to lick them, but they just like there was this one friend I used to hang out with. He just put his hands like this and just rest them right here, and he'd say, "I don't want to lick them yet. I want to get another Cheeto." I'm like, you are nasty. But how many of you know we're about to have to begin? Some of you, maybe not everybody, but some people are beginning to think, I've been seeing it, a lot of people are thinking about what to say no to. They're like, man, I've got to start making some decisions about, whatever it is, but I'm going to say no to some things. Go ahead and look at your neighbor and say, let me tell you something. You are. Come on, say it with some swag. You are a history maker. Come on, say you are a history maker. But say, I don't always feel like one. Say, I don't always feel like one. I want to help you tonight if you even need this. Some of you here tonight, I believe, are leaders. Some of you in this place are more than leaders. Some of you really are history makers. And bigger than that, I think that God has got a call on all of our lives, and it don't have to be one specific thing, but we're all a witness. But somewhere along the lines, you've got to learn how to say no to some things. Look at your neighbor and say, And then say no. Then say no. How many of you have ever been in a situation before where you have just been like, man, if you did something, but if I could, have you ever asked God, like, God, if you could just get me out of this, I would serve you for the rest of my How many of you, though, have ever had this? I call it a problem. I had a problem, but it's a problem, and you grow up and you have a problem saying no to people. Does anybody have that kind of problem? You just love people, man. You can't say no, and because you can't say no, you get yourself in trouble. And I remember there was this party, and I walked in, and I remember I walked in and this guy had this drink, and everybody knew that I didn't drink, and it was the first time ever. And some people like me believe that you can go to places and you don't have to be like everybody else, and you can be the only one that never does it. Well, that's cool for you. I went in, this dude said, hey man, drink this, this is punch. And I was like, well, punch, all right, well, you know what could be wrong with punch? And then all these dudes start saying, drink, 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 drink. And I'm all nervous. I'm like, ugh. And so I drink this stuff, man. And I remember waking up, and I was hanging on the commode, and there was like water looking stuff down my pants. And I remember just wishing I would have said no. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's just certain times you just wish you would have been like, nah, you know, I'm cool, I'm gonna pass. Or like, I remember one of my friends, it was like in every school I went to, they'd be like, do it, Pitt, do it, do it, do it, do it. And I'd catch myself doing something really dumb, and the next thing you know, I'd be expelled, and my mom would be there crying and looking at me, and she still thought I was special, but I remember thinking, man, I just wish I'd have said. And then I can remember other times where, like, I don't know, like, I mean, I just wake up in the back of a paramedics bus, and then I get to the hospital, and my dad is holding me up from having a drug overdose, and if I would have just said no, it'd all been different. Matter of fact, I could have changed that campus, maybe. I could have had an impact in school, but I could never say no. And real history makers, and especially those who are going to be called what, sold out, man, they can say no. They got swag to it, confidence. They got a who cares attitude, like who cares what you think? I love God, that's what's up. And it didn't matter what the scenario, like just one time, Mom said, don't go to the beach. I got to the beach, and a guy handed me a pill, and I took the pill, and before I knew it, 6 hours later, I was rolling on ecstasy, the first pill I ever took in my life. And can I tell you that I woke up in a truck, and I was just there in the truck, and I remember saying, I wish I'd have said no. And then I remember sitting in jail one time in a cell, looking outside, going, I'm not supposed to be here. I don't know what is happening to my life. I'm 20 years old. I wish I'd have said no. And so I'm asking if you would. I'm asking if you would. Because in this room, there's people from ages 1 to 99. Man, you don't know who you are. You really don't know how much God really could use you. Like, one of the biggest regrets I will always have in my life is I just dream of going back to school. If I could do anything like so many others in this room, if I had the chance to go back to 6th, 7th, 8th grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, you know what I'd have done? I'd have said, you know what, man? I'd have stood for God because he stood for me. You know what the crazy thing is? One day it's just going to be me and him. All these cats ain't going to be there with me. Everybody that made me feel weird and tempted me was like, man, come on. And me not being able to say no, I'm going to tell you, I cannot wait. Because 100 years from now, not one of us won't be standing face to face with eternity. And so tonight, if I could just tell you, what would it be like? It's like I see groups, it's happening at different high schools right now, middle schools and colleges and even workplaces. People are praying or they're meeting and worshiping, or they're meeting and they're even reading the Bible. And like that's never even been done. They actually say we're one generation away from being extinct. Christianity, our generation, but not on our watch. You can keep coming up with statistics. You can keep saying it's getting worse. But I have a news flash for you across America. Listen, we have seen and revival is coming. People are worshiping. People are praying. People are getting bold and unashamed about their faith. And people are getting ready to be sold out. You want to know why? Because they're going to say no. They're going to say no. But there was this problem for me, right, growing up. I thought it was like a rule. I thought you go to church because you had to and you do it because of others. I didn't know. And my mom had this policy where she was always saying no to everything I ever wanted to do. And I remember sitting in the living room, man, I could never even have a girl over or friends because my mom had a policy in our house, no guys and girls alone in any room ever. Give her a round of applause. I remember, man, now, look, this is kind of weird. Like, when you're sitting in the room and you want to watch television, you know, by this time, I'm about 17 years old. And my sister's right over here. And I want to hold a girl's hand. Like, come on, Mom, give me a break. You know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget this one time. I'm sitting in this room, right? And there was this girl just chilling with me. And she was, like, leaning up on me, man, like hanging out. And she was just chilling. Like, I thought we were cool. We were friends. And my mom comes in. I cannot believe it. And my mom said, shh, 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 get out. She brushed her off. She said, get out of here. Get out. Get out. That girl looked at me like I'm going to tell everybody at school, you're a freak. And I looked at my mom. I said, Mom, why'd you? I was in the living room, KK right there. I said, we were watching The Lion King. My mama would always say, but you're a child of the Most High God. And she'd say, are you going to marry her? And I'd be like, I don't know. And she'd say, if you don't know, then you don't need to be just sitting there that close. I'm serious. I'm not saying it has to be that way for you, but I'm saying, man, if I was ever caught like I mean, it was not cool. And I remember, like, the only movie I could watch all the time. My mom was weird. She wouldn't let me. She just didn't like movies, and she would let me watch The Lion King. And I remember this one part in the movie. I'll never forget it because I always wanted this, man. I wanted it. And he said, he looked at Simba, and the sunlight was gleaming. He said, look, all of this is yours. He told Simba, like God tells us, man, I got a future for you can't imagine. Now, Simba don't know, right? He don't tell him anything about it. And he don't give him any rules. He just says, all this is yours. He's got this future, this destiny, this plan. It's going to be awesome. But he only says, Mufasa says, but that area over there, it was dark. He said, you can't go there. You can have all of this, but you can't go there. You don't know why? Because the Bible also says that the enemy is like a lion, seeking who he may devour. The word devour, you can go deeper, to destroy. And unlike the lion that we serve, he's called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. My God is so fierce. He makes the devil go, "Arr!" But how many of y'all remember Scar? Anybody remember Scar? Well, Scar wanted what Simba was about to get. And so how many of y'all remember when Simba was just like a little fella, man, hanging out with his little friends, like just chilling, man? This little girl came up and they clicked, and she was like, hey, I think we need to go over there to the sticks. And he was like, I don't think that'd be such a good idea. And she was like she made her tail go. And if I'd have been Simba, I'd have been like, let's do it. And so Simba did. Simba was like brushing shoulders. They was singing and jumping. It was cute. Like little giraffes was popping up. It was boom, you know. Woo. It was, I mean, I know it's elementary for some of y'all. Y'all like, man, I want some deepness. So here we go. They get to this dark area, right? And the minute they do, here's what happens. Scar and all his little Patonis, man, they jump on top. They're chasing them. They're scared to death. These two are trying to get out. They don't know what happened. They're like, man, and they're trying to get out. And you know what's awesome about the Lion King is that he got out. The sad thing is in life, most people never get out of the dark place, because the only way you can get out of a dark place is Jesus. It's the only way. It's the only way. And so you know what I like to tell girls and guys? Like some people call church like rules and all this junk. No, it ain't. Sometimes like Mufasa, he tried to tell little Simba, he didn't tell him why not to and what he shouldn't, but maybe he's trying to protect you. And when you feel like you're in a dark area and your heart begins to thump and this conscience inside of you begins to say, man, you need to get out of this, maybe it ain't nothing other than God Almighty saying, I want to get you up and out. Who cares? Why don't you just say? And I think it should happen. And another thing, ladies, I just want you to know, the devil likes to destroy you by telling you lies like you're ugly. He's a liar. You don't need a mirror to tell you nothing. You don't need a guy to tell you. You don't even need friends to tell you how beautiful you are. You don't know what I think's so cool about the Bible? Please stay right here. Look, this is what I think's cool. God gave this one guy the opportunity, only one dude. He said, you can ask anything you want. If he'd have asked me, I'd have been like, hold up now. Let's think about this for a second. This guy says, I want to think like you. I want to be wise. And that man wrote this about women. God inspired him. A woman who fears the Lord shall greatly be praised. You want to know why, ladies? Look at me. Beauty's going to fade. But when you're on fire for God, all the guys be like, who that is? 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 I'm going to say it for you, fellas. Some guys are like looking at me like, man, I ain't trying to hear this. Well, hear this. There ain't nothing more beautiful than when a woman, man, let a woman lift her hands and worship. Let a woman pray. Let a woman get some Proverbs 31 up in her, and let a girl carry her Bible around and let her just bounce around and not care. You want to see somebody attractive, let a woman get on fire for God, and it'll set a revival. You know what I think is also neat? I think it's cool. There's like this movement across of all these guys. There's a lot of guys that are like, they're even trying to save that. They're doing the best they can. And they're like, they're stepping up in their own school. And they're standing for God. And they don't even care. And they're looking at other dudes like, man, what, puking your guts up is really that cool? Smoking grass is really that cool? I had this one dude, man, he looked at me, he's like, man, you got to eat a mushroom. I was like, do you know where that comes from? A cow has to go doo-doo, and it grows. Man, you are really, yep, that stinks. That's all I'm going to say. But I say all that to say thank you for being a history maker. Thank you for evaluating you. Know that you are God's treasured possession. It's time we quit looking to everybody else to know who we are and we go to the source himself. He has a destiny for you, a purpose, promise for you. He is your security. He is your future. He is your everything. Now, let me ask you this one. Most of you probably done that. You've evaluated you, and you're like, man, I'm going to take care of me because, you know what, here's the bottom line. All I want to say is you're either changing the people around you or they're changing you. I'll say it a different way for those of you who didn't catch that. They're either dragging you up or they're dragging you down. And if you like being dragged down, that's cool, man. If you like being a follower and you want somebody to tell you what to do from weekend to weekend and you want somebody to tell you where to be and how to hang out and what to drink and all that, if you want to let somebody have you all leashed up and doing everything they're doing, drink, and doing everything, then cool. Do it, man. That's what's cool for you, but I'm going to tell you what's really cool. I know some cats that stay at home on the weekends alone. They'll worship on Friday nights and say, man, I'm having the best time of my life because I found the source, and worship is where I want to be hanging out. There's girls across the country, man, you can't believe there's like a revival happening amongst young girls and ladies, young ladies. They're just like, I don't even care no more. And I want to tell you this also, if you're watching or you're here. If you've ever made a mistake, do not let any voice or anybody tell you anything different than what I'm about to. God forgives and God forgets. Amen? Sometimes girls and guys think, man, God don't love me. I just wiped out. No, you didn't. When you ask for forgiveness, God is so good that he put in almost every book. If I had the time, I could scroll scriptures that would prove to you that he takes it and he throws it and he don't remember it and he wipes it away, he blots it out. He is an awesome God. He is an awesome God. But secondly, I'm just one of those, everybody, man, they go, man, just tell the truth. I just like to, man. Don't just evaluate you, evaluate those around you. Evaluate your friends, evaluate others. Because the truth is they are picking you up or they are pulling you down. And I don't know about you, but if you're a child of the Most High God and he has something planned for you and he wants to get you where you need to be, why don't you just stay with him? Do you want to know why? Because people love people who are unashamed, man. There ain't nothing more cool, there ain't nothing more crazy than a cat that's unashamed about God and they don't care and they live for him and they devote themselves and it's just something about it. I love how Paul said it, Romans 1:16, after many of the saints had went and died for Christ. He said, for I am unashamed of the gospel of who? And this is what I find cool. I have two heroes here tonight. I grew up and these two guys had the same ability. They had the same drive and the same talent. Two of them. They both were going to be professional baseball players. They're here tonight. Now, one of them, he was like, I would watch him. He was just a few years older than me. And he decided in his mind, he said, I don't care. I'm not going to dabble in drugs. People would, man, let's drink. He said, I don't care. I don't want to drink. He had Florida, Alabama, every SEC team in the South trying to get him. He signed out of high school to go straight into the pros. And he said, I'm not going to have sex. He just made it cool. He just told everybody, so what? And everybody be like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's cool. And his brother was the same way. They both were drafted their senior year. You're talking about $1 million contract, their senior year. Boom. One of the brothers goes off. The next brother, they just ask, give us 1 year. Before he signs his contract, give us 1 year. We just want to watch, your stability just throw for a year. give us 1 year off at a college and come on. But he had a problem. I call it a disease. He could not say no. And when somebody would say, drink, 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 he would do it, man, to do it. And then somebody would say, do this, and he would do it. And I'll never forget, as he's trying to decide what he needs to do in his future, I remember he came to my basement, just left school, just left. I remember he showed up and he stood in the back and he was just standing there and he was kind of crying. And in that moment, as I got to look at him, I asked him and I talked to him and he said, I'm done, man. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I got to get out of this relationship that I'm in. I just got to tell her it's over. It's dragging me down. He goes, all my friends are dragging me down. And of course, me as a friend, I'm like, well, what about your career? What about, the future? You're going to make it to the big league. He said, I don't even care. He said, honestly, I just want whatever God wants. And today, you know what I think is awesome? That when you trust God, He has a plan for both. He has a plan for both of them. To this day, both of them are unashamed of the gospel, and both of them are being used by God. One pitches, and one is used on television and travels with me, is in full-time ministry. He's a hero to a generation all across America. Both are being used right where they are. If you trust God and you say, you have no idea what God can do with you if you'll just let Him. Amen? And lastly, I just want to say this. Because all of us have a different scenario, and some people go, well, some people just have it. Well, then let me tell you when I decided not all people have it. In a jail cell, I got arrested. I should have never been there. My mom told me not to go. We went to a place to watch some guys fight. I was the only one. They pulled out, and they pulled another guy. And in the jail cell, I remember thinking, how did I get here? And I remember being 20 years old in a jail cell. I was looking at the guys, the inmate people around. I thought, there's got to be something better. And I didn't ask God in my life at that moment, but I did do one thing. I remember saying in that jail cell, I don't want the worst life, because I've only got one life to live. And you know what I love? Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Some of you need to go and realize today, it's a gift. That's why we call it the present. And what you do with that gift, did I tickle some of you there? You're like, oh, yeah, that's right. You got one moment to live in that gift. And can I tell you, if you sit here like me and you think God can't use you, how about this? From pest control boy in a jail cell, trying to get through Jeff State, I don't mean to crack on myself, but I couldn't even pass an open book test. You could have laughed. I guess what I'm trying to say is, there ain't nothing about me that could ever be used unless God just said, if you'll pray and worship, I'll use your heart. My mom prayed, and for those of you who don't know, this is what happened. I left that jail cell and asked God into my life.
All this began with about 4 people in Matt Pitt's basement a few years ago.
Well, it's bringing the gospel to the MTV generation.
I don't understand it. I don't know all the mysteries to heaven, but I know that God forgives. I love that it is true. I am who I am by grace. But then I also love that God gives you a second chance. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, old things are passed away and all things become new. And this new year needs the new you. The question is, will you be the guy not holding the Bible, but with it in your heart? Will you be the one that decides this year, give God 1 year? 1 year. I gave God 1 year of my life, and I prayed every day. I worshiped every day. I don't know how I am where I am today. And I might be spraying bugs tomorrow. But I tell you, wherever I am, I'm going to stay stable and praying and worshiping and applying some of his love letter to me. Because if just one person ever gets on fire and learns how to say no, other people will come and watch them burn. Tonight, where you're here, whether it's just you needing God, more of him in your life, I like to call it sometimes a fresh start, a second chance. Maybe you had never even asked Jesus like me. You were like, man, I gotta tell some friends no. Well, do that after. Make Jesus Lord right here, right now. The next year needs you, man. I'm gonna say a prayer. You don't have to. You can say no if you want, but it'll rock you. It's the best life. Maybe you're 100% happy. Cool. I like to tell people, Christianity, man, it ain't easy. Might be one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But the bold are bold. Those with courage got it. And we'll be loud and spray it. You ready? Here we go. Jesus, Lord, I ask you to come into my life. I ask you to forgive me of all of 2010. I want a brand new life, a brand new year. Everyone say, fill me with your Holy Spirit. Watch. Look at people lifting their hands. They're going, man, this was for me tonight. I bet it was. Say, Jesus, teach me, guide me to follow you. I want to be your friend. I don't want religion. I want relationship. And everyone worshiped him in their own way. Wow. You can feel the boldness in the room. Some of you have been waiting to step over the edge. People will never forget. They won't applaud you, but heaven is watching. People don't come up to me and go, man, good job. I don't have people beating up my phone going, wow, wow, wow. But Jesus, oh, he's proud. He's proud. He forgives every day. Heaven is your destination. This world will be shook. Revival is here and coming. It's whether you're a part or not. Watch this.
What has all these rushing the church doors? Church like you've never seen before.
We're trying to show them, man, that God's real. He's alive, dude. He can do things through him, and we do it in a radical way.
This is not your typical worship experience.
It's now considered the largest youth movement in the nation.